Greetings, fam. I wanted to present a continuation of my Illuminati Bloodlines, and I chose to include today the Reynolds Family Bloodline. Now, let me preface this by saying that the Reynolds family is not one of the 13 bloodlines. However, they are so interconnected with the other bloodlines that I felt it appropriate to include them in this series. So, without any further ado, I present to you the Reynolds family bloodline. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for sharing. God bless you. So, as I stated in the introduction, the Reynolds family is not one of the 13 primary bloodlines, but they are so prominent within the Illuminati family circles that I decided to single them out in this video series on Illuminati bloodlines. Now, although the Reynolds are allied with many of the major satanic bloodlines, including the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, the Graces, and the Greys, they are especially close and intertwined to the Duke and Coleman families. Now, one example, among others, of the Duke-Reynolds Joint Project is the Research Triangle Foundation. And I'll go deeper into some of these foundations in a follow-up video. But it should be remembered that the temporary National Economic Committee of Congress of 1937, which studied the super rich, found that the Dukes and the Reynolds were among the top 13 wealthiest families in America. Further, my research at one time or another has shown that the Reynolds of the Illuminati variety have interacted with all of the other major satanic bloodlines. So please believe that these elite birds of a feather indeed flock together. In this video, you will find that the elite are behind the major addictions of America. It's so uncanny that I discovered this connection. They're behind drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and they're even behind treatment. How strange is that? And these are all big money enterprises. And I'm going to show you now how the Reynolds tobacco and drug connection works. Now, the Reynolds family is behind the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, among other things. They're also behind Reynolds Wrap and other aluminum products. But for now, I want to stick to the tobacco connection. C. Boyden Gray of the Satanic Gray family is heir to the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. But don't let that sidetrack you, because the Reynolds family still has financial interests and power in the company. If you remember my previous videos on the top 13 Illuminati families, in particular the Lee family video, you might remember some details that will help you understand the secret illegal drug trade that the Reynolds family got involved in. Now, the British elite got involved in shipping opium. The elite families then got monopolies on the opium trade. The British Empire's military might and their political clout was used to force China to allow the opium trade. Before the communists took over China, the British Illuminati families hid their opium trade behind the cover of the British American Tobacco Company. Later, the Red Chinese would hide their opium trading behind the same front tobacco company with their state-run People's Republic of China Tobacco Bureau. And I'm pronouncing that wrong. Bureau. That's how it's pronounced. Okay, in fact, the Red Chinese opium trade was controlled by another Illuminatus, and he was then President Li Xingzheng. Now, Li Xingzheng is from the occult Lee family, and they're very proud that they are the leading Oriental satanic family. President Lee was a drug lord, and he was minister of Red China from 1957 to 1975. In fact, he sold so much opium to the West that he was able to help Red China pay off their debts, and he was nicknamed the Money God. R.J. Reynolds was a partner with British American Tobacco Company and was also involved in trading opium for many years. R.J. Reynolds was also involved in the rigidly controlled tobacco industry. Now, I have reasons to suspect that the family later got involved with running cocaine, but until I get more specifics on that, I'm not going to go into it. But if it comes out at some point, remember that I told you first. Onassis also hid his early drug smuggling behind tobacco importing. The Dukes controlled Liggett and Naylor's tobacco via their Duke Endowment, which was a family foundation. Now, the Coolamans are known for their Miller Brewing Company. The Coolaman fortune was also originally derived via a tobacco company. The Duke family, via underhanded tactics, put together a monopoly of the tobacco industry called the American Tobacco Company. The company was one of the original 12 members of the Dow Jones Industrial Average in 1896. Later, they merged and bought out 88 tobacco companies, and the capitalization of the company was $235 million prior to 1911. So that's about $1 billion in today's money. Okay, the Supreme Court made the American Tobacco Company dissolve its assets since it had created an illegal monopoly. However, the Dukes rearranged things and kept on going. The Dukes intermarried with the Biddles, who worked with the Rothschilds, and the Dukes also intermarried with the Drexels, who in turn intermarried with the Harrimans and Goulds. Nicholas Biddle, who lived from 1879 to 1923, was a trustee of the Illuminatus William Astor of the top 13 Illuminati family of Astors. Now, some of the Biddles intermarried with the Astors Illuminati family as well. It's a very small world at the top family. Now, the Reynolds family have been involved in high-level drug dealing during this century as well. They have also had important and major interests in banking, tobacco, and aluminum. It seems like a fair number of them have gotten into the mortuary and cremation business, which is a great assistance for cremation after the rituals involving the ritual of human sacrifice. The financial interests of the Reynolds seem to be strongest in the South, in particular in the Bible Belt, and strong as well in Virginia and North Carolina. The Reynolds' financial interests are so tightly woven within the Coolamans and the Dukes that I have to group these people all together. Like I said, they're intertwined. A few years ago, the financial heads of the three families were as follows: Angier Biddle Duke, Richard S. Reynolds Jr., and Joseph F. Coolaman III. Now, all of these were members of the Pilgrim Society, and you have heard me mention this society in previous videos. It is possible that the family also has a sonic type of secret spiritual hierarchy as well. If so, it might follow along the top lines of the 13 families who have kings, princesses, and princes in their bloodlines. Richard S. Reynolds Jr. has been a board chairman of Robert Shaw Controls Company, which has a stranglehold monopoly on manufacturing car thermostats and other parts for cars. The three biggest American auto manufacturers all buy from Robert Shaw Controls Company. But since all three of the these big American auto manufacturers are Illuminati controlled, they likely don't care that the Reynolds family has such a stranglehold on them. The Dukes and the Reynolds, they both use tax-free foundations as a vehicle to escape taxes and hide their wealth while maintaining their financial power. Other Illuminati families also use the foundations as a scheme to remain powerful and to resist paying taxes. The controlled press builds them up as a charitable organization when most of the grants from their foundations are just self-serving for the benefit of the elite. Some of these foundations are the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation, which was established in 1936 in North Carolina. The Kate B. Reynolds Foundation, established in 1946 in North Carolina. The Richard S. Reynolds Foundation, established in 1955 in Virginia, and the Mary Reynolds Babcock Foundation and the Duke Endowment, which are both here in New York City in Rockefeller Plaza. Interesting that they would be at Rockefeller's Plaza. All of these foundations work for the Illuminati. The Donald W. Reynolds Foundation, which was established in 1954 in Nevada, and then it moved to Arkansas, might also be connected to the elite, but I'm not certain, so don't quote me on that. But it is a Reynolds Foundation, and I just have to make the connection between that Reynolds and the Reynolds that I'm speaking of in this video. But however, the Kate B. Reynolds Healthcare Trust provides an example of a liaison between the Duke and Reynolds family. For instance, John McMahon, a Duke University grad, and the Dukes, you know, are responsible for establishing Duke University. That's their school. And since 1971, McMahon, as a member of the advisory board to the Kate B. Reynolds Healthcare Trust, has established his connection to them by virtue of that position. Now, here is an example, for instance, of a single man working for the interests of both the Dukes and the Reynolds. Edwin C. Whitehead, who's chairman of Technicon Corp., serves as a similar example of a man who's working both for Duke and Rockefeller interests. Whitehead is a trustee of both Duke University and Rockefeller University. He has also been in charge of several New World Order organizations promoting a one world. For instance, he was governor of the United Nations Association. And I guess I just want to throw out there, do you see any possibility for any mischief behind these grants? When I break it down to you, the connections between the elite and their positions, what I notice in particular about the Reynolds grant is that they control all of the crisis centers in North Carolina, and this is via their money. So this means that any person calling a crisis hotline in North Carolina is going to automatically get tapped into the Illuminati's net for catching escapees. I also noted that all the colleges and universities get money, and a variety of different denominations, including the Baptist, Methodist, non-denominationalists, the Presbyterians, and the Ecumenialists, all get money from these organizations. Now, what's interesting, just to go back a little bit, in regarding the crisis centers and the fact that this elite's money is behind this. If you remember, during the Katrina crisis and several other crises, the Haitian crisis and a lot of others, there were many people who were directed to these FEMA camps and places where supposedly they were to be taken care of during this crisis. But in some cases, a lot of them were never heard from again. So that's something for you to ponder. If you're ever in a crisis, you might want to do like some people I know and just try to help yourself. Get yourself to another state. If your state is in such bad condition that it's impossible for you to pick back up again, then go and start somewhere else and trust God to put you back in position, because turning to some of these crisis centers is not always a good idea. I'm not saying it's never a good idea, but it's not always. And I'll tell you why. You know, the main thing that surprises me is that there are a number of these government agencies who get money from, in particularly, the Reynolds Foundation. And those that do are especially those that deal with children, like social services agencies and even certain police departments get money from the Reynolds Foundations. And because you know the from my previous videos and you know the satanic base of these people, they're not ever going to be involved in anything good unless there is a bad purpose behind it. They're not good people, so they're not helping. You know, you can hide behind a nonprofit and say, oh, this is for the greater good. But just because you say it doesn't make it so. There have been revealed many so-called charitable organizations that were actually doing a lot of really bad things behind the scenes. And I'm always concerned when they're connected to organizations that deal with children. This video has only touched on what the Reynolds family operates. However, the thrust of what I am saying in regards to the Reynolds family is that they work with many other elite Illuminati families, and they are active in banking, aluminum, and tobacco. The Reynolds family is an elite Illuminati family, which ranks right up there with the top 13. And they also have a very extensive power base, but it's strongest in the Bible Belt. So those of you in the southern states, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to wind it up now. Sometimes it takes me a long time in between these bloodline videos to make the next one, because no other type of video wears me out and depletes my strength more than these bloodline videos. And this is why, fam, I know that this is evil, because something overtakes me in the making of these videos where I my pronunciation is affected, my breathing is affected, and I feel spiritually and physically drained upon completion of each of these bloodline videos. So family, I'm going to ask you to keep me in your prayers, and I thank you. I'm going to pray now, because this is what I do. Lord, oh, thank you. Thank you for the ability to complete this task and to reveal what it is that needs to be revealed, Lord. Help the people to understand that just because things are marketed to them does not mean we should partake in them. The marketing, there's millions of dollars, Lord, invested in the marketing of cigarettes and alcohol, and drugs are becoming party favors, and people are encouraged to participate. And I ask you to give the people strength to resist the wiles of the enemy, because these are all things that have been put here to destroy the people, and they don't know, Lord. They're going into this in the dark without any clue as to where it's going to lead. And if necessary, Lord, I ask you to show them where it leads. Let a few of them have some type of foresight of what danger lies ahead if they continue to do these things. And these treatment centers, it's all part of the goal of just generating more and more money, because these people, they're greedy. They never, ever, ever have enough, Lord. So help the people to see that just one thing leads to another, to another, to another. And it has to stop. It has to stop, because it's creating a nation of idiots, of weak sheep that just follow whatever it is that the elite put before us, Lord. Wake, wakey, wakey, the people, Lord. I thank you for my assignment. I thank you for the subscribers. God bless them. I thank you for those who check in. I thank you and I bless you, Lord, in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.